Hacking began with a toy whistle and curiosity, and that origin still shapes today's billion-dollar cyber threats. Hacking didn't start with hoodies and green terminal text. It began with a toy whistle and curious ears. This video traces that spark to today's billion-dollar ransomware racks. You'll get clear history, practical lessons, and 3 actions to start. Stick around. The roots will explain why defenses fail today. But first, a quick definition and context to clear the fog. Words matter. Hacker covers curious builders and outright criminals. Some probe networks to improve security with permission. Others cross lines without clear malice, then report what they find. And many use hacks for profit, disruption, or geopolitical goals. Early hacker ethic promoted sharing, improving systems, and protecting users. It sounds simple, but changed technology forever and informed early Silicon Valley tinkering. In the 1960s and 70s, phone networks carried voice and control signals. A 2600 Hz tone could talk to the switching equipment. Kids used toy serial whistles to mimic that frequency and explore lines. Others built blue boxes to route long-distance calls for free. Wozniak and Jobs experimented with blue boxes before founding Apple. The thrill was understanding systems, not stealing cash, which mattered then. But the trust in networks created a repeating lesson that follows us today. The 1980s moved hacking from analog wires into computer modems and BBSs. Bulletin boards let strangers trade tips, tools, and occasionally tricks. Teenagers, like the 414s, broke into high-profile systems and made headlines. War games fed public fear, and the CFAA created new legal lines. In 1988, the Morris worm infected about 10% of the internet. It showed how fragile shared systems could be and why defenses matter. That outbreak forced thinking about containment, reporting, and responsible disclosure. The 1990s brought the web and a front door for millions of users. Kevin Mitnick became a media symbol of social engineering and pursuit. AOL hosted beginners, and kits like AOL lowered the barrier to scams. DEF CON formed, and L0FTYT warned senators it could take down the internet. Malware like Melissa spread via macros and email, causing real damage. The decade proved connectivity multiplied both curiosity and risk in equal measure. Broadband and e-commerce turned intermittent attacks into non-stop threats. I Love You, Code Red, Nimda, and Slammer used unpatched systems to explode. Botnets became rented armies for spam, fraud, and distributed denial tactics. Underground markets sold stolen cards, exploits, and access like inventory. Crime adopted roles, contracts, and customer support in shadow marketplaces. Defenders learned automation too, or attackers would scale faster. That era forced security teams to embrace patching, segmentation, and monitoring. Crime matured into an economy with specialization and service models. Developers built malware, affiliates deployed it, and brokers sold initial access. Ransomware-as-a-service lowered technical barriers and raised ransom yields. Cryptocurrency sped payments and blurred jurisdiction lines for investigators. Marketing, leak sites, and branded gangs added a public face to crime. Victims paid, insurers negotiated, and boards finally noticed cyber risk. Law enforcement strikes delayed groups, but the ecosystem adapted quickly. The 2010s revealed hacking as a tool of states and sabotage. Stuxnet targeted industrial centrifuges and proved code could break machines. Sony, OPM, and other breaches showed political and privacy consequences at scale. NotPetya, disguised as ransomware, actually wiped infrastructure worldwide. SolarWinds taught us a compromised vendor could open thousands of doors. Equifax exposed personal data for millions, turning breaches into boardroom crises. These events pushed organizations to take cyber risks seriously and invest. Ransomware shifted from locker-style annoyances to professional extortion. Attackers started stealing data, encrypting systems, and threatening public leaks. Double and triple extortion multiplied pressure on victims and insurers. RAS let non-technical affiliates run major campaigns for a cut. Leak sites turned extortion into a reputational weapon and marketing channel. Cryptocurrency, anonymous infrastructure, and global talent pools fueled operations rapidly. Victims faced complex negotiations with little certainty or legal clarity. The 2020s turned ransomware into an industrialized threat. Colonial Pipeline proved a single breach could cause fuel shortages and panic. Initial access brokers sold footholds, letting affiliates skip the reconnaissance step. Gangs like Lockbit and Conti branded themselves and ran affiliate programs. Attackers now use voice cloning and deepfakes to intensify pressure during extortion. Cloud misconfigurations and remote work widened the attack surface further. The ecosystem scaled so fast that law enforcement moves often felt reactive. The same curiosity that birthed hacking also improved security tools. Bug bounties turned vulnerability discovery into paid legal work for researchers. Crowdsourced testing programs proved outside eyes find real flaws. Coordinated disclosure and CVEs made fixing faster and more transparent. Open-source security tools and shared research strengthened defenders worldwide. Conferences like DEF CON created norms, skills, and networks for responsible researchers. Hacktivism reminded us hacking can be political, not purely criminal. Why did hacking shift from curiosity to organized crime? Answer with incentives, scale, markets, complexity, and defensive gaps. Imagine the internet as a city that doubled in size overnight. Some buildings kept old locks, others left windows open by mistake. Attackers simply walked blocks, tried handles, and moved on to easier targets. Markets sold tools and access, lowering skill requirements and raising profits. Defense lagged because patching and identity management are organizational struggles. Lesson 1. Don't trust by default. Verify every user and device. Early systems assumed users were honest, and attackers exploited that trust. Zero Trust segments networks, enforces least privilege, and checks each request. Start with admin accounts and cloud access. Expand policy gradually. Tools like identity providers and microsegmentation enable practical zero trust. Measure success by fewer lateral movements and quicker incident containment. This reduces the damage when breaches happen and improves response speed. Lesson 2. Patch fast, patch smart, automate where possible. Worms like Slammer rode unpatched systems and exploded network loads. Set patch SLAs based on exposure and business risk. Automate patching for common software and track exceptions carefully. If immediate patching breaks production, isolate and mitigate until fixed. Combine vulnerability scanning, asset inventory, and prioritized remediation workflows. That discipline prevents fast-moving malware from finding unattended doors. Report metrics to leaders so cyber hygiene becomes a business KPI. Lesson 3. Identity is the new perimeter. Protect credentials first. Stolen credentials drive most breaches and ransomware intrusions. Use phishing-resistant MFA like hardware keys or passkeys wherever possible. Remove legacy single-factor admin access and enforce least privilege. Rotate service credentials. Monitor for suspicious logins and block reusable passwords. Adopt identity providers and centralize session logging for forensic trails. These steps turn stolen passwords into a less useful exploit vector. Start with admin and remote accounts first. Expand after success. Lesson 4. Assume breach and prepare to recover quickly. Backups are your last line against encryption and deletion. Follow the 3-2-1 rule. Multiple copies, different media, one offsite. Encrypt and isolate backups so attackers cannot reach them through the domain. Test restores regularly and measure recovery time against business goals. Segment networks and keep immutable snapshots for critical systems. Tabletop exercises reveal gaps in plans before a real crisis arrives. Recovery practice reduces panic during actual incidents. Lesson 5. People remain the prime target for attackers. Social engineering, phishing, and vishing exploit trust and routine behavior. Kevin Mitnick's tricks still echo. Deepfakes now amplify persuasion. Train staff, run realistic simulations, and require out-of-band validation for money requests. Reduce access with least privilege and rotate high-risk credentials frequently. Make reporting easy and reward employees who flag suspicious activity. Human layers often catch what automated tools miss. Start small and scale training campaigns over time. Lesson 6. Map adversary behavior, not just the tools they use. Tactics and procedures repeat: reconnaissance, initial access, lateral movement, exfiltration. Frameworks like ATTCK help defenders anticipate likely steps and gaps. Instrument detection at each stage and automate response playbooks for speed. Use threat hunting to find stealthy footholds before they escalate into crises. Share telemetry and PCERT data with peers to raise collective visibility. Measure coverage with test attacks and purple team exercises regularly to validate defenses. Lesson 7. Make security an engineering problem, not just an IT checklist. Build secure defaults into CI/CD pipelines and infrastructure code. Scan dependencies, use SBOMs, and enforce safe library versions automatically. Run tabletop exercises, reward bug reports, and practice incident drills. Treat security metrics as engineering KPIs with dashboards and SLA targets. Secure by default reduces human error and speeds deployments safely. Leadership must fund and measure these programs to sustain change. Engineering discipline turns security into predictable, repeatable outcomes. If you only do 3 things this quarter, start here. Turn on phishing-resistant MFA for admins and remote access today. Patch internet-facing systems within days, not weeks, and measure compliance. Test backups by restoring a critical system from scratch and time the process. History shows fundamentals beat flashy defenses. Focus on basics and persist. Start now and make small wins stack over time. We'll leave the next chapter for AI and quantum in a future deep dive. If this helped, like and subscribe for deep dives on cyber history and safety. Or comment your biggest security concern and we'll tackle it next.